welcome to another episode of Footy Kickin Good. We are here for our St.Kilda episode. Let me introduce our star-studded couch today. We got, series regular Michael Flynn. Still the only person I know crying about that Jack Higgins goal last year. Still think it was out of bounds.
Why did you bring that up? Yeah, I'm over it.
Over it. All right, and we got the real treat on the couch. Big Saints man. Three-time PCW Tag Team Champion, Peter Nikias.
There we go.
Thanks for having me. Right? Because
I did.
Yeah, it took me a while practicing that.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. Big Saints, man. How you feeling about Saints season? Because I feel like it's been a mixed bag getting into...
No, look, I'm excited with some of the acquisitions and players that we've picked up. But yeah, there is a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel more optimistic than I have been in previous seasons.
Okay, no, that's good. Well, we'll push through. We'll go through the ins and outs now. Look, we'll get into it a little bit later about the drafting of this side. But we look at some of the ins and outs. We see Jack Carroll's come over as a delisted free agent. Alex Dodson's a nice ruck pickup who's might be second fiddle potentially to Roll Marshall. Jack Moraes, another big one. We'll talk about him in a little bit. And the two high draft picks, Travalia coming in. As for going out, Josh Battle's the big one. What do you think about Josh Battle heading out of the Saints side? Like, is that a big loss, or do you think you guys have the covers for that?
I think it is a big loss.
Yeah.
Obviously, he had a great year last year. He was kind of like the anchor of the back line along with Wilkie. But personally, I think our back line's probably our strongest point in the team. And I just feel like, especially with the new recruits and all that stuff, they'll just slot right in.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Brad Crouch obviously retired. Riley Bonner got delisted. What do you think of Riley Bonner? Was he a bit of a whipping boy for the Saints?
A little bit. He had his games. Yeah. I feel like he had a lot of junk touches.
Yeah, a lot of kick-outs.
Yeah, and they looked good when you check the arc or something like that.
I was surprised he got let go just because of how much responsibility they gave him last year.
Wasn't there a game last year where he had a record amount of turnovers?
Yeah. But in his defense, I think I had him in my Supercoach side.
Yeah.
I was like, he just kicked him down the line. He just was really unlucky. But he got torched on social media.
Also, you're missing the biggest of outs, Tim Membry.
Tim Membry. Just going over to your mob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Carlton killer, as we call him. Yeah, obviously he's a big body in the forward line.
Yeah, and obviously Max King, having his own injury concerns at the moment heading into the season, so he might end up being a bigger loss. Seb Ross, another one who was delisted, but let's move on to the main topics. And the first one I want to talk about is St. Kilda drafting, because for me, I reckon St. Kilda drafting is possibly, over the last 4 or 5 years, might be the best team in terms of hitting good picks, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say definitely up there.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about the 5 years before that.
Let's not talk about 5 years before that. But we got Messiah Wanganeen, Malira.
That in hindsight was a really good pick.
Yeah, really great pick. He's, just such a reliable user, and I want to see him move more up the field. I feel like he has to be put into play a little bit more, just so he can put his kicking to good use.
Yeah.
Owens is another one. He probably had a little bit of a down year, but if he can bounce back to what he was 2 years ago. Filippo knows had a little bit of an injury, but looks like an absolute start.
So unlucky. What is it? It's his femur. It's like a stress.
Yeah.
Something. Or something. From all reports, he was going so well.
Great. Yeah. He looked phenomenal, and moving him into the midfield, and then the last year he looked like an absolute star.
Yeah.
Darcy Wilson, we know, was so good last year. Travalia and Taru obviously coming in. I think Taru's got a stress fracture in the back, so, just adding to the Saints. Injury woes, I guess, a little bit. But both look like stars. Travalia, I think, is in line for round 1 debut as well. So, they haven't missed, honestly. And if you look at it it's really a nice core when you think about Messiah in the back line, Filippo and Owens kind of rotating through the midfield. Travalia and Taru obviously backman as well. Wilson on the wing. So
where do you think Travalia would play in if you're saying he's in line for a round 1 debut? Do you think you just put him half back, or?
I'd say so.
Well, that's where he debuted, but I think the idea is that they want him to go through the midfield at some point.
Yeah, it depends, because you've got Wanganeen, Malira, and like obviously we don't know Stinkler's status or anything, but they're both players that can play in the midfield.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of like utility players like Owens, Philippou. Like Owens was selected as a midfielder.
Yeah.
So
He's a tall boy as well.
he's very tall.
Yeah, he's playing rucks, pinch ruck sometimes.
Yeah. So obviously the team can get shifted around, and you don't know where players got to play mostly.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's what you want really. You want the versatility. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on, I want to talk about Jack Macrae a little bit because he's come into this side, obviously an older head. I remember looking at the Saints list last year, and I think I counted about half the side was all recycled players from different clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Macrae obviously adds to that now.
Yeah.
But like when you look at the draft drop the way it is, you're almost like bringing Jack Macrae in. Is he taking the spot away from one of the younger guys? Like, should the team be rebuilding? Like, is that kind of a little bit what they are? Like, focusing more on the youth as opposed to bringing in these older guys?
I liked the Macrae pick up a lot.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like we need. Obviously, he played more like that half forward role last year at the Dogs, and
Yeah.
but like looking back, even a couple of years ago, he led the comp in disposals and stuff like that. I feel like, especially with like Brad Crouch gone,
Yeah.
and all that stuff, I feel like he's a really good replacement.
I was big on last year, like Macrae getting more midfield minutes at the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand some of the like obviously Richards going into their midfield, adds a different dimension, whatever. But I felt like it's like you either play Macrae as an inside mid or you don't play him at all.
Yeah.
Like that, and I feel like that's why essentially he's gone now, and I feel like he'll get to do that at Saints.
Hopefully. Hopefully. Because I feel like he can still be damaging.
No one is better at getting in and winning it and than getting it on the outside as well. He's such a good player.
Like, I think it was literally was it 2 years ago, like All Australian?
He's probably one of the more underrated players to play the last 10 years.
No, I definitely agree. And I think obviously with the injury woes that the Saints are going through at the moment, he's probably a great addition for them.
And a leader as well, obviously.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, I'm always in that boat where it's sort of like, I don't want to see Macrae taking minutes from Kilda.
I don't see it that way, to be honest. I think, especially for a team like St.Kilda, if a quality player and person wants to play for you, go get it.
I think so.
I think you can't have, like the young guys will get a turn, but I think it's worth having a guy like that in the team.
Let me ask you, where is this team in the context of the season? Maybe I'll throw it to you, Peter, but should this be a team that's pushing for a premiership, or should it be a team that needs to take a step back and kind of get some games into the young guys and build a little bit more before pushing for the flag?
I think what we need to do is just try to make finals.
Yeah.
Really just push for that. We don't need to be top 4 or anything like that, but all we need to do is improve.
But don't you think some teams just need to kind of step back and kind of, put the emphasis on the younger guys and let them develop and put them in the middle and the guts for the big moments to try and develop them?
I definitely think Macrae, he won't be in the middle all the time. I can definitely see us using him at half forward and stuff to allow our younger guys in the middle. I don't think Macrae will take away from our younger
guys. Yeah. I kind of wouldn't mind seeing him on half back as well.
That wouldn't be bad. Yeah. I do think Macrae's obviously a hard-nosed player.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what we're lacking.
Yeah.
Someone just determined to win the ball.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Let's move on because there's a big news about the Saints' big massive offer to TDK, Tom Duconin. How do you feel about that, hearing that?
Look, I like it. As I think most Saints fans would.
All right, but let me run this for you because he is predominantly become a ruck now.
Yeah.
You don't see in these premiership sides, other than Max gone, a good ruck, being an elite ruck, basically winning premierships.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm kind of leaning on maybe it's not a great idea.
I don't know. I feel like teams like St Kilda, especially, I think they need to target, like they need to land a big fish.
Yeah.
And I do think he is a big fish. Like,
Yeah.
And look, yes, he's more of a ruck, but I think he's pretty versatile. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
and him and Marshall could like are legitimately perfect. Like, can play forward. They could alternate 50-50. You know, like sort of like Jackson and Darcy are Freo.
Yeah.
That hasn't really worked out.
If I'm the Saints and I've got that kind of money for TDK, I'm also looking at his brother Sam, who's out of contract. And I'm just reaching out to the boys.
Get them together.
If they pulled that off, I'd be like, all right, Saints are in the box here right now. And we know Sam, had some issues towards the end of the year. He wanted possibly out. So I mean, if Saints have got money to throw around, I reckon they're going to aim for both of them, not just one. But yeah, you're for the TDK signing if it were through.
Obviously, we've seen like the two big rucks play together.
Yeah.
Like we saw Gorn and Grundy didn't really work out.
Yeah.
And that's because like they weren't really goal kickers.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
Like Dakota has had big moments.
Yeah.
And Marshall has, even last year, has kicked a couple of bags.
When Carlton were in good form last year, I feel like it was off the back of Dacona's form.
Yeah.
So
I feel like he's like a team lifter as well. In a way.
Yeah.
A little more inspirational, and you also take in consideration like he would take the emphasis off Max King, be able to split those two.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think, just a side question, but
do
you think Rowan Marshall is a better forward or a ruck? Like, what do you think is more natural to him?
I'd say ruck.
Yeah.
But I feel like if he did have more time in the forward line,
he's sort of like, do you remember Brad Ottens? He's sort of like. It's strange to see a ruck that's like such a beautiful kick.
Yeah.
Like you think of like Max Gorn and these guys like the ball spins sideways. Like
I was talking
Marshall's
about
such an elite kick.
I was talking to someone about this the other day. Like Rowan Marshall is just a really good footy player.
He is.
Yeah.
Like he is so skilled.
You know what I really love is the fact that always gets the high clearance numbers out of the ruck as well.
Yeah.
And he's basically just another midfielder in there when you think about it.
He's another guy that's underrated.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever got an All Australian, has he?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. He was close one year, and I think English
he should have
got
got
him.
it. Yeah.
I
don't think it was last year, the year before.
Yeah.
I thought it was deserved to.
He was in line last year as well.
Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, underrated. I reckon he deserves a little bit more love. Let's go through some of the individual accolades, and you tell me, Peter, who you think is anyone in the Saints possibly in mind to win a Brownlow this year?
If it would have to be someone, it'd be Sinclair.
Yeah. That's who I was leaning towards.
Other than that, I don't really see it. Just because we don't really have that player that will always dominate games. Like you look at Carlton, Cripps will always dominate.
I feel like Philippou is the guy that has that potential in the future to be a Brownlow medalist.
Yeah.
Like he has
that's
because he has that look about him. He's like a Bontempelli type. He looks like he stands out when he's around the ball.
Yeah, and he can move forward, kick goals.
I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, true. I agree. All right, Coleman. Anyway, I know Max King's gone down, so
that's the thing. It'd have to be him. I can't really think of anyone else.
I was thinking the other day, like, a small forward's any chance to win a Coleman?
Never. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I will say, without King, I feel like this might be crazy to say, but I feel like we're almost a better team.
You think you're more versatile up in front of
Well, definitely, because when
to
King's there,
we
only look for King as like a marking target. Like Membry a little bit last season and before that.
Yeah.
But when King was out, like we were just kicking it to the open man.
What other tools have you got now? Like, let's say King's not playing this couple rounds.
Sharman. Yeah, but Sharman, he doesn't really have the size that
he's an undersized forward.
Yeah, that one he picked up in the draft last year, Lance Collard.
He's small forward.
He's more of a small forward, is he?
Yep.
All right, moving on. All Australians. Anyone surprised, I guess, for All Australian?
I think Wanganeen Malira.
Yeah, I had it written down as well.
I've got him written as well.
Yeah.
I almost think, at least for half the year, he was better than Sinclair last year.
Yeah.
I thought he was our best player during some games. So
I went to as a Pies fan. We started last season 0-3. We we played the Saints, I think, in the
Round
third.
3, yeah, I think so.
Or it might have been round 2
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
opening round, whatever.
Yeah.
But that was probably the best performance of St Kilda had all year.
Yeah.
And Wangan and Miller absolutely cut us to pieces.
Yeah.
Like, watching him live, I was like, damn, this guy is like killing us.
I've already said it, he needs to move up the field, I feel like.
Yeah.
He'd just be more damaging. I feel like even if you have him and Wilson on either wings, like, just that one and carry,
Yeah.
be phenomenal for him. All right, Pete, we're going to play a little game with you. It's called St Kilda Who Would You Rather? So I'm going to give you it's basically a list of 10 players. I'm going to give you 2 players, and you're going to tell me who you would rather.
Okay.
It's your criteria as well, so.
It doesn't have to be necessarily the best player. It's, it just could be the guy that your favourite.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. But, all right, first 2, Stephen Milne or Rowan Marshall?
The tip rat.
I'd go Milne.
Milne,
I met him the other week. So.
Did you?
I did.
How did that go?
Yeah, it was alright. My boss actually knows him, so we were out for dinner and he just started together.
Wow, nice.
His son plays as well for, I think he's in the VFL.
He does, yeah.
Is he?
Tyson. I went and watched the VFL. I saw Milne there watching his boy. Yeah.
All right, Stephen Milne or Lee Montagna?
Damn. Probably Milne.
Milne still.
I think it's going to go the whole way through.
Yeah.
Clean sweep.
Stephen Milne or Jack Steele?
Milne.
What was it? All right. Milne or Nick Del Santo?
What?
I stumped you on this one.
I'll go Del Santo.
Del Santo. Nick Del Santo or Jack Sinclair?
Sinclair.
Sinclair?
Yes.
Jack Sinclair or Brendan Goddard?
Damn.
Oh, we're struggling with this one.
Damn.
Does Goddard leaving have like any?
Yeah, it's funny to fact.
Yeah, sure. But Del Santo.
Yeah, I know.
Essendon great Brendan Goddard.
Mate, to be honest, not Del Santo. Goddard in the year, I reckon in 2010, 2011,
Yeah.
I think he was the best player in the
Yeah.
AFL. He was that good.
I'll go Sinclair.
Sinclair. After the pump up from
Yeah.
Flynn. All right, Sinclair or Lenny Hayes?
Lenny Hayes.
Come on.
Yeah.
Lenny Hayes top 10.
Come on.
Lenny Hayes or Robert Harvey?
For me, Lenny Hayes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Robert might have been a little bit more before your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I know where this is going.
Yeah, it's the last one now.
Yeah.
Lenny Hayes, Nick Rewalt.
Nick Rewalt.
Nick Rewalt.
My favourite sailor.
And Nick wins. Nick Rewalt, man. Oh, I should have guessed.
Yeah.
You guess. Do you think if you brought Nick Rewalt back in his current state, do you think he'd be able to still? Yeah.
He'd be less.
You reckon?
He'd be less injury prone than that's a 45-year-old. No, I don't know how old he is. He's probably 40.
All right, and as we wrap it up, let's go to our underrated or breakout stars for the year. So, Pete, do you want to go first?
Oh, which one do you want to start with?
Either or.
I'll go breakout. I think Philippou and Owens.
Okay.
Kind of like the two big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen flashes from both of them. I'd really like to see Owens kind of more in that middle role.
Okay.
I can't, obviously he can kick goals and stuff like that, and he's a great marker and a great crummer as well, underrated crummer.
Do you like having him play like the second ruck and just playing him more as a midfielder?
I do like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like it, just because he's in the middle and he's around the ball.
Yeah.
And Philippou as well, like you said, his potential is crazy. Darcy Wilson, be interesting to see what he does as well.
In his second year.
He had a great year last year. I was stoked with him.
Yeah. I had Owens as a breakout as well. He definitely had a better 23 than he did 24.
Yes.
So you kind of want him to hopefully bring back that form, and that happens sometimes with these young guys.
Yeah.
As
Was
well,
last year's second season? What's third?
I mean, that's the
I think third.
yeah. I just had another one as a underrated star, Arishan Naked.
Yeah. I have him written down as
Honestly,
well.
he should have been a top 20 pick. He did some stuff off field that
Yes.
cost him, but
Yeah.
I think the Saints got a steal there.
Yeah. I think especially with Rossline as the coach.
Yeah.
I think if you have a coach like that, you can afford to take on a guy that's got maybe like a bit of off-field stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think he's like the best in terms of like people management. Like he's so elite at like getting through to guys.
And obviously with Battle going out now,
Yeah.
that spot's right up for grabs.
Yeah.
There's also another guy, Barrett, you got in the draft, who looks like he'll be a great defender as well. So
Who's the guy is it Barrett, the bloke that looks like he's 30?
there's a few players in the
There's a
league.
couple
Yeah,
of
that's
blokes.
heaps.
I was just going to say, my guy that I think, it's a bit left field, we mentioned him before to have a breakout. I think Cooper Sharman's going to make a spot his this year.
Yeah.
So he's sort of been, you know, we throw him in defence, we throw him forward, we've tried. I think this year as a forward, especially the King going down, hopefully 20 games, you know, kick 30 goals, 35 goals.
He'd kind of be like our big target if King wasn't there.
Well, he's I've seen what he's capable of. He's taken some huge pack grabs.
Yeah.
And even when he first started, I think they discovered him in SA. I think he was in the Sandful, and he was doing that, and then they brought him in, and for the last couple of games, maybe 2-3 years ago, and he kicked like 10 goals in 5 games, something like that.
Yeah.
And I just think he's got something about him. I don't know.
No, that's good. Well, obviously, you know, King might have an interrupted start to the season. Remember, he's not out there, so you kind of need someone to fill that void, though.
Yeah.
All right, before we completely wrap it up, I just want to ask.
I was going to say underrated.
Underrated?
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we completely wrap it up, I want to ask you, so obviously, you know, a little bit of injury carnage at the Saints. You know, you've got Wood, Sinclair, King, all Will Niggles. I think Ross Lyon has said Rowan Marshall will be good for round 1.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts going into the season, basically? Like, it's I
Who
feel like...
do Saints have round 1?
It's a good question. I'll show you.
Really have not. I think one of my mates said to me the other day, they sent me a like the screenshot of the King thing and everything, and then his message to me was scheduled post, because it seems like it happens so often.
Yeah.
They got Adelaide overall.
Yeah, I was going to say
brutal.
I was going to say
But
that's winnable though.
It's winnable, but I think Crow's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, this year. But I think the game plan should be like, if Rowan Marshall's just touch and go, I reckon just leave him out. I reckon play some kids for the first 3 or 4 rounds. The AFL season's a marathon.
I know. You got to get off to a good start though.
Yeah, but I reckon if you could finish it strong.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen what like the Doggies and Hawks were able to do last year. And under Ross Lyon, like I do rate him as a coach.
Yeah.
And I think he knows what he's doing. But I feel like if you blood some young guys a bit early, get them some experience, and they come in and out, because injury is going to happen throughout the season regardless. I mean, that'd be how I'd be looking at it.
Yeah.
Look, I think this would be great if we did have that big second ruck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you could play Marshall mostly forward for the game.
Picked up, I can't remember his name now off the top of my head, it was a boy. It was an SSP pickup. But they picked up basically another ruck, and they picked up Dodson in the draft.
Yeah,
Supposed to be
Jack
quite
is
good, so.
the best of them.
I think he's the one who looks
That's
dirty
right.
use.
Dodson.
Yeah,
sorry.
it's Dodson. Yeah.
Apologies, Dodson.
But yeah, I think the future's bright in terms of like their list development. I just wonder. Yeah, it's just about the Saints knowing what path they're on, I guess.
Saints are one of those teams. I put them in a similar boat to like Essendon.
Yeah.
You never know what
What version you can
you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Like they're always there and about the sort of 8, 9, 10. I feel like they're.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I feel like with us, over the past couple of years, we've started off strong. Then we just have this shocking patch.
Yeah.
And then it's like the end of the season. It's like we're only playing to like ruin other teams' finals hopes.
And ruin your own like draft picks. Like, you win like few at the end.
Yeah, I know.
They're still now all their first rounders, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel like they've missed the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So, look, they're in good company. I think with the season being, as we predict, to be pretty close in terms of like, you know, a win can catapult you from 13th to probably like 6th or something like that. Just comes down to winning those real crunch games, which, I mean, I think
We had a lot last year, like just losing close games.
Yeah, lost a lot of close games. So, I mean, you kind of fix that up a little bit. Hopefully get all the boys back on the park at one point.
They also, I can remember you knocked off the Swans last year when they were going well. I think from memory, I think Saints were one of the first teams to knock them off. But
I think it was second
when you when you can beat a team like that, you know you've got something. You just got to show it more often.
Yeah. No, definitely.
It'd just be interesting to see if like our young group is ready to take on those games and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you see with Hawthorn and stuff like that. Like they're a pretty young team.
Yeah.
And their chemistry is kind of, I feel like, what got them in the 8.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ross would never let players like carry on like the Wizard.
I think every team needs to carry on like the Wizard, to be honest with you. Sprinkle a little bit of my sandwich in there. All right, I think that wraps up our Saints episode. Big thank you to Pete for coming down.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Flynn, as always.
No worries.
And thanks for tuning in, guys.